Hello guys, and welcome to another late night movie review. I know that's not late when the video goes out, but it's late when I'm filming these. Just because I'm trying to do these between my shifts at work and things like that. So I've been trying to catch up with some of my movies, and tonight we're looking at a second sight release of Censor. Now this film is it already, before I even watch it's got like a place in my heart because it touches on a subject that's really dear to me, and that is video nasties. This film sort of censors, is sort of centered around that. Nearly tried to drop one in and say censored, but yeah, it's centered around video nasties, and it's about this girl called Edith, and she works uh, for the British Censor Board, and her job is to watch and cut out clips from horror movies from video nasties. Now this is based in the 1980s, so it's all around the video nasty era, and her job is probably the coolest job on the planet, which is and probably a difficult job for someone like me, because I'd be like, oh no, leave that in, but she's got to censor these sort of films. And on the background story of Edith, she's got a sister who's gone missing. She went missing when she was 7 years old, and her mum and dad are struggling to sort of come to terms with that, and they make a decision, because it's been a number of years, to get a death certificate made on their sister, who I think the name was Nina, and she's been missing for a while. But Edith can't come to terms with that and still believes that she is still alive. And at her work, we see her sometimes putting clips of something that's happened years ago, because I believe when Edith was younger, her and her sister went out like in a woodlands area, and that's when the sister went missing. Was in the woodlands area. So, and she gets to check out this film called Don't Go in the Church, and it's sort of like based on this woodland thing, and she sort of gets a connection with it. And the film was supposed to have been directed by a guy called Frederick North. Most of the video nasties they say in this are made up titles. Like Cannibal Holocaust has got a completely different name in it. There is one in there, Deranged, which was obviously, I think, supposed to be on the Ed Gein film that was a video nasty. And there's a bit in the film where it comes out in the news that a man in Brighouse in West Yorkshire, who's watched it, because down to her editing, she's left something in there where one of the characters gets their face eaten off or ripped off, and he apparently copies that up in Brighouse, and they're sort of blaming the film for it. So they're trying to blame her for this, and they've got the press sort of following her about. But it's quite hard to distinguish who's actually, she's got a grass or something in where she works, because whoever it is has sort of dropped out that she's the one that was editing the film, which really they shouldn't be knowing who's done that. But apparently someone's dropped it out that she was the film editor of the film. And she sort of like watches this film, like I said, Don't Go in the Church, and she wants to find out more about this director, Frederick North, because of it sort of rung bells with a story of her and her sister. So there's some sort of connection there. The producer of his films comes into the film studio, and I recognise him from many British sort of films. This is a British film, by the way. Again, the Brits do it again with an atmospheric horror film. And he sort of like is finds her quite attractive and stuff like this, and is flirting with her. Anyway, so she does some investigating around some of these films, but she can't find it. So she goes to this old video store, which I love, that the fact that it's gone into like a video store. Like, you know, we had Video Choices up here. I think this is called Frederick's Video, I'm not quite sure. But she goes into this video shop and she sees that he's been, the guy that works there is doing under the counter films, stuff that are banned. And she goes up to him and asks him, has he got any Frederick North films in? And he's quite reluctant to say, but she tells him that he's seen him get back the cannibal film that's banned and stuff like this, and he doesn't want to drop him in it. And so he eventually lets her take this film. And so he takes this film out, and she starts to watch it at home, and she thinks she sees her sister in the film, the sister that's gone missing, under a different name of Alex, of his actress name, but she believes it to be her sister. So she goes and tells her parents about it, who's just sort of like very blasé, said, don't be so stupid, don't be so silly, you know, and all this sort of thing. They're trying to come to terms with the fact that they've lost their daughter now, she's dead, but Edith will not give up. And she believes she's found this film with her sister in. And she believes that she's been abducted and used in these sort of films for video nasties. So she starts investigating around that. And she goes to see the producer of these films, the one that came to her workplace at the Censor place, and he invites her in, and she starts asking him questions, and he says that, oh, she's the director's making the film now in the church with the Beast Man. And she asks him about the actress Alex, and she goes, yeah, she's in it, but it's going to be her last film because she's old wood or whatever. And so she's trying to find out what he means, what's going to happen to her, and he's not letting on. So then he comes on to her, and she tries to get away, and they start having a fight, and she pushes him over, and he accidentally gets killed by a freak accident in the house. But it's really cool. It's a really gory death. And then she sort of goes out and sort of says, oh, I'll see myself out then. Almost, again, I think she's so sensitized by watching all these movies, nothing phases her. And so she just sort of like goes out and carries on her investigation. So is she going to find her? Is it her sister? Is she going to find her sister? You need to watch it and find out. What do I think of Censor? It's awesome. It's bloody awesome. It's such a cool film. Yes, guys, it's a slow burn film. It's a lot of chitter chatter, but because they're talking about subject matter that I love, video nasties and stuff like this, and the sort of premise of this, that her sister is being used in these video nasties, is absolutely terrifying. That's where the real horror is of this film. And the film really unfolds into this sort of like investigation search for her sister, and the sort of like the black sort of market of youngsters probably that are being used and abused in these sort of films. And it's such a great film. A lot of people don't like it because they find it boring. I absolutely loved it. I was gripped by Edith and her character, and I just wanted to see where this was going. And I loved the characters in the film, her poor parents trying to deal with it, her work colleagues that are trying to be supportive with her because they can see that she's going through some sort of stage of depression. And when she got this blame for this cut in deranged that she missed, they're trying to have her back and all this, and all these sort of weird things coming on, and I think that everyone's sort of tiptoe around her because of the loss of the sister when they were young, and it looks like her dad still blames her for that because they have an argument, and he says, well, you know, and that comes up. So she's got all this on her head, and now she's a murderer. Well, I say murderer. It was definitely manslaughter. It wasn't an out-and-out murder, but she was defending herself because he was attacking her. You know, because she was in his house. But yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. The pluses of this edition, it looks great. It so authentically looks like the 80s, which was amazing. It was so cool. There's loads of sort of like reds, browns, and sort of those sort of colours which were everywhere in the 80s. Everything seemed to be brown and orange, but it was really, really cool. Such a cool film, and it just went on to unfold the way I wanted it to. It's really, really cool. The acting is fantastic, really, really good. They're really cool, sort of like storyline. Great British cast in there. A lot of familiar faces that you will recognise whilst you're watching the film. I'm terrible with names, so I'm not going to even go there. There is some gore in the film. There are some quite gory deaths in the film, and it is quite suspenseful, and you just want to see what happens. Negatives of the film. Let me have a little think. Nothing really jumping out at me. I suppose the only negative that I think of the film was them not using the real video nasty sort of titles, because there is a few clips at the beginning of the film. You see some clips from Nightmares of a Damaged Brain and all this sort of thing, and you see some old VHS covers of like Evil Dead and things like that, and I'm just thinking, yeah, cool, just use the original names, but obviously copyright wouldn't allow them to do it. But that's a shame. That's the only negative. I'm going to score it now. I'm going to score it an awesome watch and give it a 9 out of 10. Absolutely fantastic. It's not a 10 out of 10 film because it lacks that sort of like aggression and gore, but it does have that gripping, horrifying story of, imagine you're young and your brother or your sister goes missing in the woods, and you find out later on that they've been abducted and been used in sort of like videos. I mean, that's happened before, obviously, with films like Tell No One, which is a French film about a young daughter that's been kidnapped and used in a sex trade. This is quite similar, but in the video nasty horror sort of way. But yeah, really, really cool. I really loved it. Censor, 9 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below. It gets a few negative reviews, which I don't get. I just don't understand. I think it's such a cool film. It's got so much going for it, and because it's not an out-and-out horror with jump scares, blood, gore, and violence, it's a horror in this story of like based around the horror genre, and that is just so cool, so original, and so brilliant. Absolutely love it. Guys, thank you so much for checking out this review. If you have, I must apologise if some of my reviews are late at night and by candlelight at the moment. It's just because my shifts are everywhere at work, and I'm not getting a lot of opportunity to watch a lot of films. Hopefully I will. In a week's time I've got a weekend off, so I'm going to try and sit down and catch up with some movies. It's my birthday weekend, but I've got no plans, so I'm just going to sit at home on my own and just watch some really cool horror movies. Until my next video, guys, please check out some horror channels for me. Check out Horror Hands, The Horror Geek, Man v Film, RS Design, Pizzawell, I Am Icelord, Cat Watchers, Horror Movies, Grumpy Andrews, Haunted House, and a massive shout out to the lad. Till next time, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I see you all soon.